It's traumatic in your biology, and that's why mood and energy
Traumatic or dramatic?
Traumatic. But it's not recognized as that because we do not see women's cycle as traumatic.
Okay.
But yet they're called very much crazy all the time. But when you actually look at the dramatic falls and spikes in biological hormones, it is wild what the body goes through.
Conscious couples, business partners, and individuals, welcome to the Conscious Couples podcast, where we share our life, love story, and relationship expertise to help you consistently cultivate the most magnificent relationship possible.
Never again will you feel hopeless and alone in your intimate relationship challenges. We'll help you have the courage to be your authentic self, communicate effectively, and constructively resolve conflict.
Having accumulated thousands of hours coaching, speaking, podcasting, and hosting live events with conscious couples all over the world, Alan and I are here to guide you in all things relationships.
Thank you again for tuning into the one place where it's not about you or me, it's about the we. Conscious couples and individuals, welcome back to the one and only Conscious Couples podcast. Today we have episode 195. Is your partner aware of how your cycle impacts you? And before we get into this episode, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Next Level Podcast Solutions for producing this show and so many others. We work with 117 podcasters and business owners. We produce more than 70 podcasts in the world. Self-improvement, mental health, personal growth, personal development. We are spreading so much good in the world and amplifying the voices of so many incredible leaders. So it lights me up to talk about it, so I wanted to hear it one more time. But anyway, so if anyone wants to start, grow, or scale or monetize a podcast, reach out ASAP Rocky. This is what we do best. Sweetheart, what is your intention for today's episode?
My intention for our listeners is to help them understand how their cycles, the biological rhythms, the drums that beats in their chest impact each other, because most couples do not understand this little nuance that you and I have discovered has a lot to do with couples and their dynamics.
Okay. So Emilia explained this to me on a walk last week, the week before. And you're going to tell a story about a client, how this kind of, the origin story of this. But real quick, Emilia and I had a conversation about clothing. And we live in New England, so there's 4 seasons. And in each of those 4 seasons, there's 3 months. So 4 quarters in a year, 3 months per quarter, 12 months in a year. Don't get lost in the numbers. But essentially, there's 4 seasons, 3 months in each season. And then women have a 28-day cycle. Where there's 4 seasons within each month, so to speak. And males have a 24-hour clock cycle.
Yeah.
And so we were talking to a heterosexual relationship client of ours, the man and the woman, and you were basically talking about how the woman is actually more consistent than she thinks and can be more consistent if she understands routine and her cycle. And you sent her a digital asset, which we're going to put in the show notes, but I'll let you tell the story.
So I feel like this is a story not just of this couple, but a lot of couples. And that's why we want to talk about it at the Conscious Couples podcast. Because, like I said, biologically, we all have different rhythms, different drums, if you will, that we have our cycles beating to.
So when you say this applies to all couples, you mean couples of men and women?
Yes.
And you think this is like a big unsung thing that needs to be shared?
It is 100%.
Okay.
Because just like this couple, so we were on the RTC call with them, and like you mentioned, one of the individuals in this couple doesn't identify with consistency at all.
Yeah.
And just so happens she happens to be female. Shout out to you if you know you're listening.
And quite frankly, a lot of women, statistically speaking, think they struggle with consistency. At least the ones that I've coached. And you had a breakthrough that you're going to get to, which is the word consistency is a very masculine word. Consistency, discipline, structure. Love it. Love it. And if you use the word routine, you think that's better?
So one of the reasons why I think that a lot of women, and where I'm thinking is not just based on like my imagination, it's obviously through our practices that we individually have, and then also at the Conscious Couples podcast, the RTC practice that we have with clients, is the way in which we're thinking, right? If you were to just hear the word consistency, and if someone identifies as consistency or not, first of all, we're unconsciously thinking about consistency in the terms of that 24-hour loop. So what do you do consistently? Unconsciously, we all have this time frame of what consistency is, which is 24 hours.
I feel super called out right now.
You're
absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's based on, am I consistent? Do I do it every day or not?
Exactly. And that's where I think the biggest rub is when it comes to the masculine and feminine energies and masculine and feminine genders, or men and female specifically, because of the fact that their cycle impacts them. So on this word consistency, if we actually just like expand it outside of the male 24-hour cycle hormonal clock that they go through, and actually expand that time to be 28 days, my question would be, how many people actually can say that they are consistent if we're looking at consistency in the time frame?
Right.
Yeah, in a 28-day cycle. I bet you, and I would put so much money on this, that more people would be like, oh my gosh. And hopefully that light bulb moment is happening for everyone that's listening to this.
The light bulb moment happened for this female. I saw it in real time. I saw her eyes go, oh shit, I am consistent.
Right.
I'm just not consistent based on this daily standard.
Exactly. And that is what I think the issue is, because what happens when we don't identify with something and then
we don't double down on it.
We don't double down on it. We don't invest in it. So in this example, this woman, she says, to herself, I'm not consistent, and has an aversion to being consistent because of what is unconsciously.
Because she's failed so many times in the past trying to get on a 24-hour.
Exactly, on a 24-hour cycle. And so in that relationship talks call, what we essentially said and pulled out was like, actually, you're really consistent. And I would put money on that you're consistent in the routines that you have throughout a 28-day cycle. And here's why. Because women, for hopefully everyone that's listening, we all know women go through a 28-day hormonal cycle where, if you don't know, there's 4 different quote unquote seasons. I'm not going to go through the different hormones, the different seasons, et cetera, et cetera.
Can we quickly, because we're going to put the digital asset in the show notes. So you have an asset that you're creating for the we that you use at Evolve Ventures.
Yep.
And we're going to put that in the show notes for our listeners.
Correct.
So can we just go high level through the 4?
Yep. So through the 4 seasons, so essentially the way in which you're going to see on the digital asset, because there's so much data underneath why I'm trying to frame it in this way, because I don't want to get too caught up in the weeds. But essentially the 4 different cycles. You have, it's hard not to, and a lot of people struggle to hold this, but from day 1 in everyone's cycle, I do need to just say, especially for the men that listen to this.
These are principles.
Yes.
And the nuances are different for each individual, but the principle stands.
Correct. Yeah. Okay, so first of all, when you start your cycle, that is quote unquote day 1.
Okay.
Depending on who goes into the research and what they do.
What is the start?
This is usually what confuses people. There's so many nuances that you have to hold on to, variables when we talk about this. This is why
this
women...
feels a lot like the tax year versus the calendar year. It's like...
Well, this is why a lot of people, and I said this in the RTC session, a lot of women have been taught to disconnect from their bodies and from that 28-day cycle. Why is that? Because in all reality, I was literally doing a spreadsheet on it the other day. Like, it's a lot of variables to hold on to. Yeah. So how can we conceptualize it in a way that our partners can understand? That's where the 4 seasons, quote unquote, tend to be really helpful. That's why that digital asset is going to be in the show notes. And where we'll start is essentially with the baseline assumption that a woman's day 1 cycle, when she first starts menstruating, meaning she gets her period. Okay, so that's day 1. That is the quote unquote inner winter, right? That's when so many things from a hormonal standpoint, women go through traumatic rises and falls of hormones. It's traumatic in your biology, and that's why mood and energy
Traumatic or dramatic?
Traumatic. But it's not recognized as that because we do not see women's cycle as traumatic.
Okay.
But yet they're called very much crazy all the time. But when you actually look at the dramatic falls and spikes in biological hormones, it is wild what the body goes through. So back to the comment on the closet, quote unquote, in the 4 different seasons that we have, there's a reason why, and if you're listening to this, hopefully you will feel validated as F. There's a reason why you go through mood swings. There's a reason why, and depending on where you are and how old you are, this changes, obviously. But there's a reason why sometimes you feel really hot, sometimes you feel really cold, and sometimes your mood or your energy levels actually reflect that. Is because you're going through traumatic swings and dramatic swings in your biophysiological rhythms that more often than not you have been taught to suppress, to shame, do not talk about, and to just stay silent about.
Yeah, that's wild.
So you and I were talking about this in our walk where
I asked you if you had with any other partners talked about your period.
Yeah.
And you said no.
That's a no-fly zone.
So you had talked to me about it pretty much the first year of our relationship, certainly when we moved in together. And I had gone and gotten feminine products for you at the store. And it was a lot that I had never learned before, obviously. But I grew up with two women. My mom and my sister, and they didn't tell me anything. Yeah. And guys are just ignorant without knowing it. And then the women are not sharing it. So it's just this conundrum. And also real quick, so if anyone wants more information on this, two things I want to say. Number one, book an RTC call. The first one's free, 30 minutes. Free 30 minutes every Saturday. We do them. At very least, you'll meet us and get this valuable information. Number two, I actually have someone on my team named Emilia. Her and her husband, Chris Lenius, were the OG Relationship Talks coaching couple. They've been married for 14 years, and we still call them the OGs. Amy, I know you're listening. Chris, I think you might be as well. What's happening, folks? But ultimately, Amy is a expert at what's called the Peaceful Period Project. Before she came onto the Next Level team, now she does Next Level coaching. She has a very affordable one-on-one coaching. And if you are a woman out there who wants to master your routine with this 28-day cycle, reach out to Emilia for Evolve coaching or reach out to Amy Lenius, because she is, out of everyone I've ever met, she spent a long time, years and years and years, helping people get in alignment with their cycle.
Because, and I'm sure Amy would endorse this, you shouldn't be having pain associated with your cycle. And women have been taught, and men don't even know about this, but how much pain and agony women go through and suffering in silence about their menstrual cycle, not just when they're actually bleeding, but the cramps, the bloating. Like, there's so many things that negatively impact a woman's body throughout their 28-day cycle. But because so few people actually are emotionally mature enough to talk about it, women have suffered in silence so much, from everything to poor nutrition to horrible pain to migraines. And again, depends on how old you are and how that's changed.
Hey everyone, this is Alicia. I wanted to take a second and give a shout out to Alan and Emilia. I've been listening to Next Level University podcast for a while now, and I've also joined in on group coaching and book club, and I've gained so much value from these. And recently, I have started listening to the Conscious Couple podcast, and then joined in on their monthly meetups with relationship talks. And from here, my wife and I decided to jump on a call with them, and we had a few questions. This has just been a great experience. They not only provided us with some great tips and things to implement, they also got back with us and to check and see how we were doing. And that has just meant so much to my wife and I. And I just really wanted to give a shout out and thank them so much. And if you haven't had a chance to listen to the podcast or join in on the relationship talks, I highly recommend that. And also just jump on a call with them and get to know them a little bit better, and just really lean into this resource. It's just been so valuable, and I really appreciate it.
To that end, I actually reached out to Amy to ask her if I could help elevate some of that Peaceful Period Project data, because I speak with so many women on this, and I know Amy's put so many years into
she crushed it.
Really showcasing this.
She's helped dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of women get a Peaceful Period Project underway. And I've seen the testimonials. It's been really cool.
Amazing. Yeah. And I think that the sentiment of that, to really echo and amplify that work, is I think that as it pertains to this episode, men go through this 24-hour cycle and women go through the 28-day cycle. And even on the day in which couples try to connect, a male might be, let's say, for example, in the evening, lowest levels of testosterone between 7 and 9 p.m. If you're thinking about average men.
Yeah.
So you're like dead a woman, depending on where she is in her cycle, so like she might be in a follicular phase or an ovulatory phase, meaning like her hormones are changing and therefore her mood and her energy levels are going to be different. So if she's trying to connect in more of like that ovulatory or follicular phase, because of her hormones and how that's impacting her mood, her energy, even her body temperature, there might be a mismatch or a disconnect between the 24-hour cycle and the 28-day cycle. Yeah. And so when you and I talk about the conscious love languages and having misses when it comes to speaking each other's love languages, what has a lot to do with that is your energy levels, because of the biorhythmic levels that you have going on that no one talks about.
Well, you told me you're the most productive between like 1 and 4, typically. Yeah.
Here's the typical, depending on what phase. Am I in my inner winter? Am I in my inner spring? Am I in my inner summer? Am I in my inner fall?
Nice.
In those 4 seasons, that time period changes. That's what's wild, because us women have so many things, so many routines, and that's, again, kind of back to the languaging. Women will respond better to words like routine as opposed to consistency.
Yeah.
Practice as opposed to discipline, right? So there's different languaging even that wraps around how our cycles are impacting each other. And as it pertains to getting after work, getting after career, success, taking care of kids, et cetera, even to the extent of what clothes are being chosen to try to help regulate body temperature and be in a state of comfort instead of exhaustion or overwhelmed with stress. Like, there's so many different nuances that women are having to essentially play the chess game on that men have no idea that they're doing.
100%.
So this cognitive labor that women undergo on the day-to-day with their normal life, they're already playing a master chess game, multiple, within their own biology. And guys are doing that in a 24-hour cycle. So I want us to open up that conversation because, like the client that we were talking to, how is that impacting them? Well, there's certain phases that this woman wants to go out and have more adventure.
Yeah.
It's not that she's not consistent, but she wants more of this. And if we were to like literally have all the data.
From the outside looking in, if you're not looking from the frame of 28 days, it does look inconsistent.
And it is from that frame.
Right. From that frame, it is.
Yeah, but if you identify that as I'm not a consistent person, what then? You won't actually recognize or try to master your own inner winter and what
because you'll associate it with failure.
Exactly.
Right? And you're playing a losing game, so then you'll avoid it altogether rather than actually master it.
Not only that, but the chemicals that are involved with avoiding that instead of actually breaking through and saying, actually, I am. Like, you're literally challenging a belief system about yourself, which in order to evolve in the way in which that allows your relationship to be more agile and dynamic and actually like ebb and flow together, grow together, not apart, you need to be able to understand this about yourself.
I also think there's a level of respect that comes unconsciously with consistency, but I've never really realized how much people associate consistency with daily habits. And I'm definitely guilty of that too. For me, it's seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, quarters, years, decades. At no point is there a 28-day anything in that. And
which I'll just comment on that. If you actually look at like all of the way in which like people say slower society versus modern society, like the way in which we view time is from a paternalistic lens.
Yeah, agreed.
On the 24-hour male cycle.
100%.
Including the work week. Everything, quote unquote, revolves around that.
And the mathematics of even these terms, seconds, minutes, hours, that's based on that paternal, right?
Yeah.
So for anyone out there watching or listening, we got to jump here in a minute. But what we want to get to land, I want you to kind of wrap up here. But first, what I want to land is sit down with your partner at very least. And Emilia lets me in on what season she's in. She actually considered sending me her spreadsheet. But yeah, nice. I did laugh at that.
Would you like that?
Yeah. Yes, I have enough spreadsheets, but yes. But ultimately,
what I shared with you is I think men should be less than one click away from having reading your partner. And you have been such a tremendous male in this, pioneering what's possible. Like, you're attuned to me. And we talked about this in a relationship talks event. Alan's so attuned to me where he'll ask me quite literally, and I brag about this all the time on coaching calls, are you hot cold or are you cold hot? Which any woman who's actually not like starting to understand her own body, she will laugh at that. And all the guys who have never heard that before will be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Because of the fact that it is a nuanced body temperature swing acknowledgement of what you're going through on the day to day. And literally my body temperature can swing.
What's the difference between hot, cold and cold, hot?
Hot, cold is like you're hot on the outside, so you don't want anything on you, but inside you're like shivering and you're freezing as hell.
Okay, and then cold.
And what's actually happening is internally your estrogen levels are rising.
So
and
your
therefore,
hypothalamus
your body temperature is dropping, so you're actually cold inside.
Yep.
But you're like hot on the outside. Whereas it's the opposite.
Got it.
Yeah. So
whereas
anyways.
for men, it's are you hot or are you cold? It's like I'm cold, I'm hot. Everything's so binary. It does make sense.
Yeah.
It does make sense.
But you've been such a sweetheart in adjusting temperature, being on that, like being mindful about can I get you a tea or this or that. And I've also shout out to Chris. I've also seen Chris do little things for Amy, like increasing iron and magnesium type foods. So like
Cute.
As men, like I want to give like the men some power here. You can do so much better, but no one's ever freaking taught you.
Yeah.
So it's not a pass. It's an invitation to step into becoming an even better partner, understanding how is your 24-hour cycle impacting the 28-day cycle. And the last thing I'll leave you with is ask yourself the question in your relationship. Are you guys both operating and leaning on the 24-hour cycle?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you more operating on a 28-day cycle? I would put money that you're operating on a 24-hour cycle.
Absolutely.
Because no one's taught you the benefits of operating within your relationship on a 28-day.
Yep.
Or doing what Alan and I do, which is a blend of the both.
Well, so you said this on our walk last night, preparing for this episode. You said you're either on a 24-hour cycle or you're on a 28-day cycle. So assuming this is a heterosexual couple, male and female, you're either on the male's cycle, 24 hours, and the male is dominating the relationship and the direction, or you're on the female's cycle, 28 days, and the female is dominating, or the rarity is what we encourage everyone to do, which is a mix of both. And so it's almost like a 24, I see this in my head as a 28-day cycle with my 24-hour cycle within it.
Exactly.
And so for anyone out there watching or listening, if you're a man, ask your partner, your female counterpart. If you're in a heterosexual relationship, tell me about this stuff. Just be curious. Just be curious.
What day are you on right now?
Exactly.
That's a great entry
And
point.
she'll be like, oh my God, you give a shit? Like, holy crap, she's gonna light up like a Christmas tree.
No.
If you are a woman, it's your responsibility to make sure you share some of this stuff and don't hide it and lock it all away, because Emilia is constantly being vocal. And I know it's partially on my part for creating that psychological safety, but it's also on your part for making sure I'm aware, which has been really cool. So we got to jump. So relationship talks coaching, first one's free. We already talked about it. Also, we have an event coming up.
Yes, the communication essentials that relationships need to thrive. So this is a great example of what are the things that are going on quite literally below the surface of the skin that you and your partner are engaging in that are preventing you from thriving. If you two aren't aware of each other's cycles and how that hormone impacts your mood, your energy, your behavior, how the heck are you going to thrive as a couple? It's literally impossible.
I think studying hormones, even at its basic level, is going to help every human being.
I
feel like that's like, of all the fitness stuff I've studied, I feel like the hormones needs to be the next sort of focus for me, because I know test levels affect everything, estrogen levels, the whole nine.
Even something as small as you and I have talked about, like breath work.
Yeah.
Breathing through your nose improves everything in your endocrinology, everything in your sleep, everything in your hormone levels.
Yeah, 100%.
And again, depending on how old you are, like one small takeaway, everyone wants to improve their hormones, which will indirectly improve the relationship. Start breathing through your nose.
My business partner has mouth tape.
Yeah.
To make sure that he breathes through his nose.
That's great.
And he wears it all day.
I'm if you could practice the skill, that would be much better than that.
You know, I'm joking. Kevin's a podcaster, imagine.
Where are the duct tape
plans? All right, we got to go. We appreciate you. As always, it's not about you or me. It's about the we. We will talk to you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Conscious Couples podcast. We love connecting with the Conscious Couples community, so please check the show notes to connect with us and say hello on social media.
If you and your partner resonated with this episode, please leave us a 5-star review at the link in the show notes and share this with someone you love. Until next time, it's not about you or me. It's about
The
the
we.
we. We'll talk to you next time.